Hello there and welcome to Rajiv Gandhi IAS Academy. This is me Nawazish Nihal and I'll be discussing current affairs analysis for 22nd February. So moving on with the first news. So the first news is about GST. So the Nirmala Sitharaman, the finance minister, has called for nuanced debate on GST reforms, and she said that the rollback of the GST on the correction on textile, in which happened in late December this past year 2021, it will hurt the production link initiative, that is PLI, scheme of the of this textile sector. And she shout a more nuanced debate to undertake course correction in the indirect tax regime, and instead of a tendency to oppose decision without understanding the implication. Means instead of opposing, she called for debate on the from the different business body, it, on the different kind of GST slab. So instead of opposing, call for debate with the government. And she asked industry also to be more vocal about the tax regime when they are debating. And she said that industry has given mixed signal on some rate changes, and she used the word that some industry said this and some say that. So is she like kind of saying that industry should come at a single platform and voice their opinion as a single platform. And Revenue Secretary Tarun Bajaj also asked business leader to be more vocal about the need of the reforms and to be precise with the GST Council that what they want to be reformed in their GST rate. So this is the thing. So when we are discussing GST and the rates with which traders or the industry should be debating with GST council, we have to look into the GST council part also. So about the background, so the parliament, as we all know, passed 101st amendment Act of 2016, which paved the way for GST, of countrywide GST. And the first this council was established to ensure smooth and efficient administrative. First one was administration of GST tax. So this was the first criteria of making the council, and the second criteria of making the council was cooperation and coordination. Cooperation and coordination between center and state, because previously finance commission was there which used to do this kind of thing, but in GST finance commission thing is not playing a bigger role, so GST council is only there. So it will help in cooperation and coordinating between center and state, so this is the thing. And should all know that according to 101st amendment, it came into being. And let us get about the GST council, what it comprise on and different kind of mandate. So we all know that from article 279A, this council was set up by the Constitution of India, and this article basically empowered the president to constitute the GST council by an order. And its secretariat is located in Delhi. Secretariat is located in New Delhi, and the Union Revenue Secretary as act as the ex officio secretary of the council. So, and the secretary is Union Revenue Secretary. Union Revenue Secretary. He is basically acting as the secretary of this secretariat. And the GST council is considered as a constitutional body and also a federal body, where both center and state gets their representation. And there is this mandate of the GST council, and its mandate is for responsible for making recommendation to the union and state government on issue related to goods and service tax. And it is the first constitutional federal body vested with power to take all major decisions. So it is one of the first constitutional federal body. We have seen federal body, we have seen constitutional body, but it is one of the kind of first federal constitutional body. And its vision was to establish high standard of cooperative federalism in functioning of the council. So cooperative federalism when we are discussing cooperative federalism, suppose a question is asked on cooperative federalism in our mains, so we can use GST Council as one of the best example when it comes to cooperative federalism. And the composition of GST Council is basically that it consists of chairperson, one chairperson, that is Union Finance Minister, and in today's case Nirmala Sitaraman is that chairperson, and it also has the Union Minister of State in charge of revenue. Union Minister of State of Revenue are also there, and Minister in charge of Finance or Taxation of State, and with the State Finance and Taxation Ministry, basically Finance Minister of State. And there is this after chairperson, which is the Union of Finance Minister, there is this vice chairperson, that is VP we can say, and it is basically the member of council from states have to choose one between themselves to be as the vice chairperson of the council. So member of council of state choose this vice president. And there is also, when we are discussing this GST, there is this CBEC also. CBEC thing is also there. CBEC. So what is CBEC? That is chairperson of Central Board of Excise and Custom. That also comes under the GST Council, and it is included as a permanent invitee non-voting member. So CBEC is the non-voting and also permanent member. So these kind of fact they can twist around in prelims, that CBEC is what, like permanent, non-permanent, voting, non-voting, this kind of thing they can twist. And moving on, after the structure and the background, the working of the GST Council. So while working is discussed, first we will discuss the quorum of the GST Council. So the quorum is that one half of total number is the quorum of GST Council. Means if someone is supporting half of the council is supporting something, then it will be passed. And the voting share and the decision making when it comes. So on the decision making part, decision in GST Council are taken by majority of not less than 3 by 4th. Majority of 3 by 4th when took a decision, they that decision could be passed. And voting share when it concerned, so the center has one third of vote. Center has one third of total vote cast. Cast, and all the states taken together have two-third. So of states. So this is basically the vote share of GST Council, and voting in the council will not be considered invalid only because there was a vacancy or deficiency in constitution. If there is a vacancy, so these are the condition. If there's a vacancy in the council, and also if there was a defect in the appointment of person as a member of GST Council. So if there is a defect, voting in the council will not be considered only invalid. Supposedly, so if a person is appointed without having proper qualification, but still his vote will be considered. Okay, if there is a defect in appointment, still his vote will be considered. And there is a procedure irregularity in the functioning. If there's irregularity So these are the basic requirements of the invalidity of the vote. And see, in this GST council, what we have to see is 101st amendment, 279A, and the CBEC part. And these are the basic thing which we need to see. And how, what are the composition of GST council, this we have to see. These four things are important when it comes to GST council. And moving on with the next news, so the next news is about the gaming sector. And Ministry of Information and Broadcasting Secretary Apurva Chandran said that this animation, visual effects, gaming and comics, that is commonly known as AVGC sector, will be booming in India. And the demand is there for the content creation, and India can act as a world leader when it comes to AVGC. And the announcement of an AVGC task force in the budget speech was done by Nirmala Sitaraman in this budget speech of 2022-2023. This was done, and that was a momentous event that recognized the sector importance. And the INB secretary, that is Information and Broadcast secretary, noted that the sector had been tremendous growth over the past 7 years, means after 2014. So this is the thing about AVGC, that is animation, visual effects, gaming and comics. So when we are concerning this, there is this one thing we have to know about this, that is National Center of Excellence of Animation, Visual Effects, Gaming and Comics. So the union government has decided to set up, it is done by union government, and it has decided to set up National Center for Excellence of Animation and Comic for creating a world class talent pool in India to cater India as well as the global demands. So this is both for India and outsourcing, that is for global demands. Okay, and it will be set up in collaboration with IIT Bombay and Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, that currently it is handled by Anurag Thakur. He will be responsible for this. And in order to support skilled manpower in the animation and VFX sector, Satyajit Ray Film and Television Institute and Film FTTI, that is in Pune, they are also running course that is up to the mark of this National Center for Excellence. So the FTTI and Satyajit Ray Film and Television Institute. So these are the two institutes, which are basically running programs on as per lines of the National Center for Excellence for Animation. And also to attract foreign investment in the film industry, National Film Development Council, that is NFDC, organize a film bazaar in the International Film Festival of India, Goa. So every year a film bazaar is being done by IFFI, that is International, that is Indian Film International Film Festival of India. And they are also like on they are also making sure that the animation industry is represented through films. So moving on to the next news. So the next news is about fundamental duties. So there is this petition being filled in Supreme Court, that says that and so the Supreme Court has asked the union and state government to respond that fundamental duties, including patriotism and unity of the nation, should be well defined. So what is patriotism and what is unity of nation, that thing should be well defined. And also the petitions asked to enforce the fundamental duties. We all know fundamental duties are not enforceable, but the petition has sought for enforcement of fundamental duties. And the petition said that due to the new illegal trend of protest, and the petitioner is saying that due to the protest and chakka jam and blocking of road, we have to like incorporate fundamental duties as enforceable. And it is agreed that there are total 11 of fundamental duties in Article 51 A of Constitution, and these are basically moral obligation. And like it is not of enforceable nature, but they are sacrosanct. Sacrosanct. So like they are important in nature, so that's why sacrosanct word is used for them. And the petitioner said that they are sacrosanct, hence that should be done. And some of the fundamental duties they have asked that it should be implemented, that is in petition, and the Supreme Court has asked center's view on it. So what are the fundamental duties exactly? So the fundamental duties are regarded as moral responsibility of all citizens to promote the spirit of patriotism and preserve Indian unity. So these kind of things which promote these patriotism and Indian unity is can be a part of fundamental duties, although these are well defined, and it is in part 4a of article 15 1a. So fundamental duties are there in part 4. Okay. And this apply to both people and the nation. And fundamental duties, we all know that it was basically came after 1976 Swaran Singh committee recommendation. So we will know a little about Swaran Singh recommendation. So it basically recommended the inclusion of separate chapter for fundamental duties. These were recommendation, and some recommendation were adopted and some were discarded. And it states that the citizens should become conscious that in addition to the enjoyment of rights, if we have also some fundamental duties. So with rights we have some duties also. It was said in the Swan Singh committee recommendation, and the central government accepted this recommendation and enacted 42nd constitutional amendment of 1976, and added a new part, that is part 4a, to the constitution. And the new part consists of only one article, that is article 51a, which for the first time specified a code of 10 fundamental duties. So there are basically 10 fundamental duties, and 11th was inserted in 2002. We will discuss that. And interestingly, certain recommendation of the committee were not accepted and not incorporated in the constitution. So those part were like the parliament may provide for imposition or penalty. So Swan Singh committee, although in its initial said that there should be penalty if someone is not adopting fundamental duties, but that was discarded, and no law imposing such penalty or punishment shall be called in question. This was also there in the Swan Singh committee report. So question should not be there on the fundamental duties, and duty to pay tax should also be a fundamental duty. That was in the case of Swan Singh committee, but these recommendations were rejected, and only a few recommendations were accepted. So moving on, there are some basic 10 list of the fundamental duties. What we have to know here is the 86th Constitutional Amendment Act of 2002, that basically added to provide opportunities for education to child between age of 6 and 14 years as a fundamental duty. So these are the things about fundamental duties, and now we will discuss the features of that. So some of them are moral in nature, some of them are moral, and some of them are civic in nature. For example, cherishing noble ideas of freedom struggle is perceived, while respecting the constitution, national flag is like a civic duty, but cherishing the noble ideas of freedom struggle is a moral duty. And similarly, the essentially contain just a codification of task integral to Indian way of life, like Indian tradition, mythology, religion, and practice. So basically it codify the morals, we can say in a simple words. And the fundamental duties are confined to citizens only and not extend to foreigners. So citizens only. This is the thing about fundamental duties. Although we know some of the fundamental rights for many of the fundamental rights are for citizen as well as foreigner, but fundamental duties also only for citizen, and they are non-justiciable. This is one of the most important point. These are non-justiciable, and we have seen that UPSC have asked previously which of the things of constitution are justiciable and which of them are not. For example, DPSP was being asked. So for fundamental duties is in news again, so it might be. And now we will move on to the significance. So it basically serve as a reminder to the citizen that while enjoying their right, citizens should also be conscious of the duties which they owe to the country and the society and their fellow citizen. And also it serve as a warning against anti-national and anti-social activities, and it also serve as an inspiration for citizen and promote a sense of discipline and commitment among them. And also it helps the court. What I mean to say by it helps the court, that it helps in determining an examining the constitutional validity of a law. If it if it goes with the fundamental duties, then well and good. If it don't go, then other things should be there. And also they are enforceable by law, as the parliament can provide the imposition of appropriate penalties, but they are, although they are not justiciable, and but they can be enforceable. Can be, means government say, can say that, can make a law that anyone who is disregarding national anthem should be put in jail. They can make, so can be enforceable. So there are also some criticism of fundamental duties, and it basically says that the list of duties is not exhaustive. And first is not exhaustive, and it does not cover other important duties like casting vote, paying taxes, like these kind of things. And some of duties are vague. Also they are vague, ambitious, and difficult to be understood by common man. And for example, there is this different interpretation that can be given to the word of noble ideals and composite culture or scientific temperament, which are there in fundamental duties. So they are basically vague in nature, and not a particular definition has been set till now. And they have been described by the critics as a code of moral percept, and due to their non-justiciable character. So only moral thing is there. Critics say this. And also it is said as to be a superfluous by means we say that this duty is included in the constitution as fundamental, would be performed by the people even though they were not incorporated. So why there was need to make the constitution more bulky? So this is also considered as superfluous. And also when we are discussing fundamental duties, there is this Verma committee report also, which was basically Justice Verma was constituted committee was constituted in 1998 to plan a strategy and to work out methodology for operationalizing a program initiated countrywide to basically teach fundamental duties and make it enforceable in every educational institutional and initiate in service training. So basically this was regarded to educational institutions, uh, educational institution, that this thing should be there. And it recommended that the duty to vote at election, actively participating in the democratic process, uh, can be included or should be included in like voting rights should be included in fundamental duties. And participation in democracy, participatory democracy we can say, should be there in the fundamental duties. These were kind of recommendation. And it also identified legal provision for the implementation of some of the fundamental duties, such as there is this prevention of insult of national honor act 1971, that basically prevent disrespect of constitution of India, national flag and national anthem. Then there is this prevention of civil right act 1955, that basically provides for punishment of offense related to caste and religion. And then there is this UAPA of basically the UAPA dates back to 1967, and it was recently reviewed, and it provides for declaration of communal organization as an unlawful association. Now the definition of UAP has been diversified, and many of the things are there. And also there is this debate that the UAP is being not used judiciously. So there is this debate. So what is the conclusion of this thing? So the conclusion is that the moral value of fundamental duties would not be smoother rights, but to establish a democratic balance. So fundamental duty is basically maintaining a democratic balance by making people conscious of the duties equally as they're conscious of the right. So that's why these fundamental duties are also significant in India, because they are kind of checking balance over the people. So moving on with the next news. So the next news is about India and France. We all know that our external affairs minister Jaishankar is on in France, and many talks were being taken, and this basically were about situation in Afghanistan, Iran nuclear deal, and Ukraine crisis. And they related that shared commitment to principle of multilateralism and a rule-based order should be there, and agreed to coordinate on the Security Council on the issue of mutual concern. And also the blue economy part were also discussed, that how India and France can work together on the blue economy. Blue economy means economy based on water or sea basically. And also how Indo-Pacific can be a level playing field for India and France. So this was done. So although Afghanistan and Ukraine and Iran nuclear deal was also discussed over there. So we will now jump on to some developments about recent India France relationship. So so the first update in the recent is the about Gaganyaan mission. So we all know Gaganyaan mission India will launch in this year, and French Space Agency, that is CNES, it will support scientific experiment plans and will provide French equipment and medical instrument for Indian astronaut youth. And also we know that back in 2019, in uh, Prime Minister attended G7 summit as a goodwill partner that was held in France, and it issued India France roadmap on cyber security and digital technologies. Okay, so this was done. And also we know in 2018 French president visited India and issued joint strategic vision for India France cooperation in Indian Ocean region, and India France joint vision on space cooperation. So Indian Ocean region or Indo Pacific region was discussed here in 2018. And for space corporation also. And there is this also International Solar Alliance. We all know in Glasgow summit it became a very important part. And International Solar Alliance funding conference was held, and France was also a part of that. And also we have, when we are discussing France relationship, we have to discuss Trishna. Trishna is a third joint satellite mission of India's space research organization, that is ISRO, and France CNES combined. So ISRO and CNES both are working on a joint satellite, that is Trishna, and the use of Trishna is for ecosystem stress monitoring and water use monitoring. And GSAT was 11 was launched from French Guiana in GSAT, that is geographical satellite. Geostationary satellite was launched from French Guiana in 2018. And France has also emerged as a major source of FDI for India, for with more than 1,000 French establishment already in India, and with a total turnover of about 22 million dollar, sorry, billion dollar, and employing about 3 lakh 50,000 people. in this much is the French is helping Indians for the economic prospect or the FDI prospect. So moving on with the French India French relationship, there is some basic thing which we have to know, because it will help in our answer writing also, and that might could be asked. So first is ID India France DTTA, that is double tax avoidance agreement with France, avoidance agreement. So what was happening this, that suppose a company is India and working in France, so that have to pay tax for India also and for France also. So a double tax avoidance agreement has been done, so it could help in growing of that company and hence the economy. And there is this Shakti exercise between India and France. Shakti exercise, that is a bilateral exercise between India and France. And we all know that there is a time difference of about 4.5 hours between India and France, and there is this naval exercise known as Varuna. So it is a annual navy exercise between India and France. And we all know that recently Rafael, which was basically in news for political reason, but that was also being a product of France. Okay, so France help in Indian defense sector also. So coming on to the Indo-Pacific region interest, because in here Kim Jayashankar basically talked about the Indo-Pacific region also with the France and blue economy. So coming on the French interest on the Indo-Pacific region, there are many French island, that is Reunion and Mayotte, and New Caledonia and French Polynesia, that are there in the Indian Ocean. So due to this French island, there is this France is a strong stakeholder. So French island are there in the Indo-Pacific region. And also regional dimension to the strategic partnership remains dormant, as India was reluctant to join further hand with the any other power, especially any Western power in Indo-Pacific, due to because previously there was this Cold War and non-alignment movement. So previously India was hesitant in joining hands with people, especially Western power. And the equation changed with the rise of China. When China rise and the clout in the Chinese clout have increased in the region, and there is this decline of America also, American hegemony basically. So India kind of looked of option in this Indo-Pacific region. So now India is looking for in the Western countries, and this prompted India to look for like-minded countries to join security architecture of the region. And France has many littoral island in the region and also looked for the partnership. So like India was looking already due to this kind of factor. And France has many littoral island, that is a small island. So basically India and France became a natural ally in the Indo-Pacific region, because of their both demands and need of each other. And also France was also volatile of China, and being middle power and their mutual wariness to hegemonic power projection, India and France began to see each other as a natural ally in the Indo-Pacific region, especially Western Indian Ocean. And we all know that in 2017 Prime Minister Modi visited France and met President Emmanuel Macron, and reiterated strong commitment to strengthen the Indo-France strategic partnership. And he also declared India's commitment to the Paris Accord, and the regional dimension of the strategic relation was complemented by initiative like ISA, that was basically working in the defense sector. So and also help in strengthening the relationship. So apart from the historical prospect, because when we will see France, we will see that they were a part of Carnatic wars also. French soldiers were part, and Indian people used to employ French soldiers. So this became a historic part. And in modern history also, that we have liberty, equality, fraternity. So these things were taken from Constitution of France. liberty, equality, fraternity, and these are also there in our preamble. So these kind of things are there in the historical relationship, but what I have discussed here is like of a current relationship. Okay, so these are the things. So next news is about the there is going to be a week long celebration of India's achievement in science and technology, which has happened since independence, and top official of ministry linked this science and technology of country to able to conduct COVID-19 test and make vaccine efficiently because of the investment which we are taking place in right direction. And like many revolution like green, white and blue revolutions showed that India has like extensive invested in science and technology. And the basic thing is about this Vigyan Vigyan Sarvatre Puja festival, that will be a 7 day festival, and it will be conducted at 75 location and host 75 expedition. This is the basic thing, and nothing new is there. Just we have to know this topic Vigyan Sarvate Puja, and it is done as like a this is done to like basically compensate Dr. C.V. Raman discovery of Raman effect. So now we are seeing that question have been asked from like factual question have also been asked. So we can say that question could be there. Vigyan Sarvatra Puja is associated with C.V. Raman, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, Homi Jahangir Baba, or like that. So we know if C.V. Raman is there, we can mark this answer. So there is nothing much more about this, and this is the thing that how science and technology was a part of India modern history. Like after independence, India looked on the science and technology part. This is basically discussed here, and nothing to be short of particular reason. And now government has said that it is not against the use of blockchain. So the center has no intent to bar the use of blockchain technology for function other than those related to payments. So other than those related to payments, government can use function of blockchain technology. What is blockchain technology? We will be discussing it shortly. And there were fears stemming from government ambitious stand on the legitimacy of crypto asset. So we all know that in 30% tax has been there on the digital currencies. So there was that people were getting a spectacle that whether government will implement block technology or not. So government policy towards block technology has nothing to do with the policy on crypto asset, and this is said by finance secretary, that is this person TV Somanathan. He said that nothing have to do with blockchain, has nothing to do with the tax which is imposed. And he basically acknowledged the blockchain technology importance, and he cited the budget reference to the central bank digital currency, which will be based on a version of technology. So blockchain technology basically. So what is this blockchain technology? So blockchain derives its name from the digital database of ledger where information is stored in blocks. So information is stored here in blocks and coupled together forming a chain. So when many information are coupled together forming a chain, it because basically became a blockchain. So it offers a singular combination of permanent and tamper evident record keeping. So singular combination for a tamper evident record keeping, and it is real time, based in real time. And the best most useful thing about this blockchain is that an exact copy of blockchain is available to each of the multiple computers or user who are joined together in a network. So any new information added or altered via a block is to be vetted and approved by half of the total users. So it is kind of a democratic setup also, we can say, because half of the until and unless half of the user are agreeing to it, it cannot be a part of that. So similarly, there are many significance of the blockchain technology. So blockchain can facilitate innovations across a range of process and application requiring management and storage and retrieval and safety of vital information. So basically safety of vital information can be a crucial part when it comes to blockchain technology. And also this include management of information pertaining to financial transaction, as in case of cryptocurrency. Voting also, blockchain can play a huge role. Medical records, because these are very sensitive things. Medical records and academic lesson, property ownership, many things. And basically a decentralized framework like blockchain makes that testimonial, or basically makes the information stored fraud proof. So these kind of things became a fraud proof because these are stored in many of the computer, not a single computer. And about half of the more than half of the access is needed to make any new change. So it became fraud proof. So what are still, but we have some challenges associated with mm, blockchain. So first is low scalability, because in reality blockchain work fine for a small number of user. It is good for a small number, but still we have to see that how it working for the longer process. And the transaction can cost higher if there is the longer network. And there is also this security challenge, because blockchain are vulnerable to network attack, can also happen on them. And as they were not originally designed for network protocols, these are the challenges of intersection of malware, because malware of network files and objectionable content can be there on blockchain, can grow very rapidly. And this raises issue of privacy violation and potential illegal files, copyright violation, etc. And there is this interportability is also there, because it still is in the nascent stage of the country and need lot to be done. So interportability is there because it is still in the initial stage. So there is also immutability, because one of the feature of the technology is this, because once some data has been entered, it cannot be altered or deleted. So it cannot be deleted or altered. So this cannot be done. So this kind of thing can poses a challenge, as it eliminates the possibility of modifying student record or for legitimate purpose. And also there is this lack of technological expert, because as we see that it is in developing stage still. So Indian developers do not have the ability as of now to develop open solution for blockchain technology at larger scale. And blockchain professionals are migrating rapidly to other countries. Migration problem is also there, especially to the European countries. They are migrating because blockchain are in heavy demand over there. And as a result, India's ability to benefit from jobs, capital, and local innovation is getting like brain drain kind of thing is happening. So these are kind of things about blockchain, and these are the issues. So that was for today. So do subscribe to our YouTube channel and our Telegram channel, and I'll be uploading the PDF format of today's news in our Telegram channel also. Have a watch over there also. And only 3.5 months are remaining for prelims. So all the best. Thank you.